Hey, it's Elaine. This is episode 390 of the Orange Pill Investor. No time for intro music. Catch up while you can. So, spent half the day chauffeuring my sister to doctor's appointments in the morning, and picked up my wife from the airport. And all of a sudden, like, let me just check. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is going on in the market today? So let's jump in here. Got to be some trades to make, but I only got 26 minutes in counting. So let's just jump right on strategy. This is, basically what I was hoping for. So I sold 8 of these 260s, and they're all getting absolutely wrecked. And I hope it stays that way and gets worse. uh, accounts up like 25% today. So cannot complain. Skeletor says, "I don't feel anymore." You, no. Well, no. This feels much better than yesterday. I was a little, I was a little bit nervous. At the current, at the current, as long as the volatility stays pretty the same, like strategy could crash to like 150 a share, and I could probably still just barely squeak out a living selling covered calls. Like I wouldn't have to make much lifestyle change, but anything under that, I might be eating Franks and beans. So this does feel good, even though it could come right back to haunt us. Like I still kind of feel like there's a little bit of a standoff with the interest rates, and I don't know. Maybe the planned interest rate cuts is enough to keep the market happy for the next couple of years. I don't really know, but uh, I don't mind selling some covered calls, but I don't like I don't do technical analysis, so I'm not going to have a clue like, oh, I should buy a put here. So I don't do that, but I don't mind putting a limited long position like this on, collecting some theta decay, and if I get wrecked, I get wrecked. It's fine. Um, but I don't feel any urgency either to deal with this. So it's like it's 39.50 in intrinsic value, which means there's about $2, 250 worth of extrinsic value here to collect over the next couple of days. Uh, this is no big deal. I don't feel like I need to roll this. Like if I were to roll this to the at the money or something, this is going to cost me 3 grand. And then what if the price is 250 again by Friday? I'm just going to throw $3,000 away for nothing. But what I will do is go ahead and add 2 more covered calls, since I only sold 8 to begin with. So I can put like maybe another 3% callaway value in here, sell the 310, collect another $1,400, and if I have to pay to roll these, right, like 8 times 4 grand, it's going to cost me like 30 grand to close these out on Friday if we're still at 300 a share. That'll chip away at it a little tiny bit, not much. But again, that is going to help my 250s considerably. These are still losers, but not like the end of the world. But now suddenly the 200s are looking good again. So if I end up having to close either of, both of these contracts, that'll give me like 27 grand on Friday. That'll help pay for these covered calls that are getting wrecked. Just going to quickly scroll. I don't think there's much else. Like, I guess I could use this opportunity to close these Julys now. I don't even know what these were at the beginning of the day. Like, but even if I did, like, what am I going to do with this money? Probably just roll it out to September. So I don't even know if that matters. I suppose I could just close this out and leave it as cash. And then if we drop back to 250, then I could buy these on a discount, or I don't know. Yeah, so just really a couple tweaks, just adding those. Wait, did I add them? Those close? Where's the, oh yeah, the 2 covered calls I just sold right here. So those are in, and I think that's about it for strategy. Nothing too crazy. I am kind of almost tempted to take off. You know what? I am kind of way over leveraged. I might just take this chance to close these. Anyway, I'm going to do that. So these will be at about 38% profit on the long calls and a small loss, $500 loss on the shorts. I will take that. This isn't like the big home run that I was kind of waiting for, but I've been accumulating way too much leverage. So there's no reason why I should be having this much leverage. All right, that gives me 28 grand to play with. I actually thought I was going to need to make another withdrawal to pay the bills, but I got a surprise check in the mail. I didn't realize that when I quit my job in December that I would still be eligible for my bonus, my annual bonus. So that's kind of cool. That was a nice surprise. I saw that right about the same time I saw the market reverse. So that was good news on top of good news. And I'm tempted to just leave it in cash, or I could get, you know what? I could buy another 100 shares. That's going to cost me $29.7. That would be like $800 worth of margin, or excuse me, yeah. And then I could just turn around and sell a covered call against it. Let's do that. I need to add, well, I could add a Tesla position. What's Tesla doing today? Tesla's got to be up big time today too, right? Where's the chart? What was Tesla at the open? 220? Something like that? All right. Let's try to make it happen. 100 shares. And I need to collect $800 to not be using margin. So let's hit the options. Do I want a weekly? To get $800 on a weekly, I need to go practically like right at the money. So I need to hit the 350 at least. Let's just do that. Okay, no margin usage. I eliminated 2 long call leveraged contracts and added some shares. So I'm still exposed a metric fuck ton to strategy, but I transferred some leverage into just straight shares, and I limited the upside on those shares immediately. That wasn't necessarily optimal, but I'm trying desperately not to use margin. So that was kind of like the quickest and easiest way I could think of to do that. I could, you know what? I could just close these. I'm just going to close these. All 60 of them. You know, up like 25% on the day. Why not? And let's just leave that in cash. That'll be fine. That'll give me some dry powder to buy some long calls with if we're back to 250 in a week. GameStop, that's pumping. So yeah, nothing really to do with that though. Tesla, almost about to break even on the long call, which means the short is getting wrecked a little bit, and almost back to break even on the 630s. So yeah, nothing really to do here. I'll skip the Misty account. I think they're going to pay dividends this week. So however far behind I am, I'll be even farther. Once they pay those out. Again, this account, Tesla, nothing really to do here. Strategy. I've got the one covered call against the 100 shares. I've got this 380. I've got several 530s. And no buying power. Is there anything that I can sell at a profit? I guess I could sell this. Or I could potentially, let's see if I can add a covered call at like 450. Yeah, not for much. And the bid-ask spread sucks. So not really inclined to do anything with that. It is kind of annoying that I have negative theta here. This single in profit 380 wouldn't even cut all of that away. And I think that's my only profitable position. $6,000 for that one. What to do? Let me take a look at this again. Let me see. Sorry, the 380 plus 40 would be to 440. Could technically go as low as 440, but the bid-ask spread here sucks even worse. Let's just see if I can get a fill. Let's see if I can get a fill in here. I'll try for the mid price, but wow, I was about to say, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to walk that down. What did that fill for? $3 credit? Oh, I must have just smashed the bid. That's annoying. I usually try to hit the mid price. All right, tiny little profit there. Not really much, but it is what it is. All right, 11 minutes left. This account, I have $2,000 to spend. Oh, that's because, okay. So I opened up these Tesla put credit spreads, and generally, I forgot to do this yesterday, but generally I will put close profit at target 50% and then just let that limit order sit there. Now I sold these for like $2, so $200 each, and it looks like I can close these for 60-ish. So I'm just going to do that. The point of this is to collect, theta over time, but if you get the direction right, it's fine to just close the damn thing. It really didn't change my buying power because tastytrade was calculating my buying power in a weird way. They weren't really counting that against me. So I think my buying power just went down by closing that, because now I have concentration risk. With this account, tempted to roll this now. Let's try to roll this expiration to 45 days. Let me see, what was the long call strike is 350. I'd have to roll this out to at least like the 425, and I could roll that out for a small credit potentially. I don't love it. Which one's a higher credit? 196. I doubt this is going to fill. This is probably going to suck. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to keep trying to roll this. And let's try 125. Nope. 115. Nope. $105. This might end up just being a waste of time. Now let's try 85. Nothing. All right, if this doesn't roll for 75, then I'm just going to abandon ship. I like at least rolling it up, giving me a little bit more upside. But yeah, it didn't work out. So I'm just going to cancel it. We're just going to move on. Got better things to do. Okay. However, I still do have the 1,800 to spend. And since this is just complete, you know what, I'm going to leave the cash there. Tempted to buy a couple of shares, but I'm just not terribly optimistic that we hold. 300. All right, this is the challenge account. I split up 100 shares, well, maybe seven, yeah, something like that, 100 shares, and I bought these yesterday. I could turn around and keep the $4,000 profit minus the 1,600 here and drop it right back into shares potentially. And get my 200 shares back. And then I could sell another. I could actually keep one of these covered calls now that I think about it. Let's close. Well, I got 6 minutes. Close one. And I'm going to close these. What did I just close? Did I just close the wrong shit? Oh no, 26 grand in cash. Yeah, that was correct. All right. So I know I want at least 72 shares. That's going to get me back to 200. So how many shares can I still get after that? Not much. Okay. All right, so I think, yeah, so now I have this covered call against one of my 100 shares. I've got this covered call against the other one. So let me ungroup and let's do this. All right, all my positions are covered. I did eliminate some of that leverage because we were pretty close to 300 a share. So I took some small profits in those 200 strike leaps, converted them back to shares, and I have 4 grand in cash. That will get me 13 shares. All right, that gets me, 3 more shares. This could screw me over with some wash sale rule triggers, but that's fine. All right, I should be fully invested now. I'm trying to take the quickest look at the 5K account, but I doubt there's anything I need to do. So all the miners, this is going to be interesting because I don't have enough cash to close my shorts. I don't think. and I need to roll these Julys soon. And they're not going to let me roll the Julys until I close the shorts. I might have to do some switcheroo type shit with the, like, selling my mining stocks or something, just to give me enough buying power to even switch that stuff around. Let me look at the ones I bought. These are going to be still getting wrecked. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, nothing really to do there. Let's check the chats real quick. Howard says, odd that vol went down with the lift in price today on Market Chameleon. Yeah, I think the vol was the whole market's vol was spiked, so the VIX probably collapsed. What's yesterday? The 8th? Maybe not. Central CDT time. What the fuck is CDT time? Anyway, so it's possible. It does look like the VIX did contract today. So the overall volatility of the entire market dropped. Let's see. Yeah, the implied vol contracted, I assume, with the overall volatility of the market, uncertainty in the entire market collapsed. So that probably overwrote what would normally be an increase in implied vol when Strategy's price goes up. Just a guess. Volume seems low. Is that, yeah, I probably should look at the volumes. Yeah, it doesn't look like it was all of that high volume. But what does that even mean? So if the price went up on low volume, what does that signify? Anything? You too, Skeletor. Josh, did you sell any new calls today? Yes, I added 2 covered calls on the main account. And then basically just reduced some leverage and moved my covered calls over to shares instead of poor man's covered calls. What's up, Al? Felt very weird today. September, December 1080s up less than the shares, even though we went up violently. IV dropped from like 120 to 88. Yeah. Yeah, I think the overall market volatility dropped. What's up, Justin? How did you play today? Yeah, I took profits where I could, dumped some leverage, and so now hopefully that if we see 250 again, I'll have less leverage and more straight shares positions. I can handle losing money 1-to-1, but losing money with leverage is kind of painful. No Parking said this was a lesson for all of us that we were too levered. Yeah, and that's why I know that this isn't like all-time highs again. Like if we hit all-time highs and implied vols through the roof, I'll be just unloading all of this leverage. But even just this feels just like kind of catching a break a little bit. So I think it would have been a little too irresponsible, even for irresponsibly long, to not participate in this opportunity to to delever a bit. What's up, Deck? Josh said they know Sailor's moves now, and the effect is negated, and that Josh wishes he could talk to Sailor to give him some ideas he has to fix that. Will you please try and get Jeff and Ben to connect them? I will. I'll mention it, but I think they're probably aware of Josh's content as well. But yeah, I'll mention it. Let's see, Josh. I sold some May 440s from today's run up also. Yeah, I think that's a good plan, because this tariff shit could go right back into some kind of prolonged thing, or, whatever the next thing is can just come up at any minute. There was a penny stock trader that I used to follow named Quick Fingers Luke, and he said you always participate in the bounce. And what he meant by that is, if you buy something for $100 and then it goes down to 50, like, even if it only bounces up to 75, you have to just pretend that that's taking profits. Like, you have to participate in the rally, because if you don't, and then it drops to 25, then you'll just, if you want to diamond hands Bitcoin for 10 years, you can absolutely do that, right? This is a penny stock trader we're talking about. So if you're going to participate in trading, then you got to place some trades. So, if you're not a long-term investor, let's get that out of the way. His thing was that, if you have 10 contracts and they go up 20%, maybe you sell one or two, but you have to participate in the rally, take some kind of profits. You can move it over into something else, but his thing was you always have to take some profits. And if you looked at his TradingView charts, there would be tons and tons of buys and sells on here. And, he might be selling all the way down, or excuse me, buying all the way down. And then, obviously if he's got a 50K limit order, it doesn't fill because it bottomed at 55. But then, even though he might have bought some at 64, some of what he bought at 55, he's going to sell at 60. Now, you could say he lost money because he bought some at 64, but you could also say that he made money because he bought at 55. Like, it's not like 100% of the position, but that was kind of his thing. And so then he's going to be, selling little slivers up here, and then he might be buying down here again. And there's going to be some buys and some sells at like 60 that cancel each other out. But then, like, it might even only be like a 10% of the portfolio he's buying at the bottom, and 10% he's selling at the top. But he's always kind of like booking some profits. Now, whether that ends up being optimal compared to just diamond hands hodling for 10 years is a completely different story. Like, this guy was an experienced trader, and that's how he made his living. So I'm assuming he did okay with it. But everybody, results may vary. So, not financial advice. But anyway, I'm taking that advice, or tried to take that advice today. So even with my shares, right, my average cost basis on my shares is $365. So if I were to sell any of these shares, I could make an argument that I should sell some of these shares, that I bought. Well, I guess I just bought 100 shares at $2.99. And if the price of Strategy goes to $3.35 or something, you could make an argument that I could sell those shares that I bought at $3.99 for a 10% profit. It would be a 10% loss compared to my average cost basis, but you can really kind of form any narrative you want and tell yourself any kind of story you need to tell yourself to convince you to do, to take any action. So, but in this case, I actually bought shares after the price went up 10% because I sold 2 leveraged positions to pay for it. So I look at my leveraged long calls and my shares as kind of like a pairs trade. And I don't mind buying shares after the price goes up as long as I'm removing leverage to do it. If that makes any sense. And then if strategy's sitting at 250 again, I'll probably sell these 100 shares back. And it would be at a loss because my average cost base is 365, and I'd be selling those shares for like 250 a pop. And I'd go right back and buy some 200 strike leaps again, and add leverage as the price goes down, and then deleverage as the price goes up. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Dex says, it feels like strategy is currently firmly in the grip of the market makers, so I have started to pair trade strategy and Tesla to try and build up some extra shares of both over time. Yeah, that's going to be my strategy as well. Tesla's the only other stock that I really believe in the fundamentals. Like even if they didn't hold any Bitcoin, I think they'll probably be one of the top 2 most profitable companies over the next 20 years. So I'm with you. I'm with you there. The next time we get to strategy all-time highs and we're hitting, 500 a share, 750, 1,000 a share, whatever, I will be rebalancing into a shitload of Tesla positions. Right now, I only grabbed some leaps for poor man's covered calls and some speculative long calls, but I will be adding some shares positions at some point. I just hope they trade in, just hope they're not correlated. Like, I want Bitcoin to run up while Tesla's kind of lagging behind, and then like seize that opportunity to rebalance from strategy into Tesla. So if the market gods are listening and want to smile upon me, they are welcome to set that up for me. So yeah, same deal for me. Let's see, we're 90% my strategy, 10% Tesla, but I'm currently rotating to near 75-25. Yeah, by end of 2025, I'd like to be 50-50. But yeah, 75-25 right now seems pretty reasonable. I think they're both headed for all-time highs, but I think strategies is going to be just vertical. Tesla's going to trade kind of like, basically a growth stock tech play, but strategy is going to be like on Tesla, probably almost like a 1.5x Tesla leveraged play or something, maybe. So yeah, I definitely like that. All right, that is it. Snuck in some trades before the bell, so feel good about that. All right, be good, Joe.